Good evening. On the world news tonight, first the headlines. Tinubu as benchmarks will fire any underperforming minister presidency. Serving debt with 90% revenue path to destruction. Tinubu. Nigerians in severe pain, Anglican bishop laments. Food, textiles, 24 sectors lost over 1 trillion naira in Q2 NBS. And on sports, Team Nigeria returns from World Championships without medal the 11th time. I am Morire Rabila Lawal. The news in detail. The special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, has said that President Bola Tinubu has benchmarks for performances, will not permit failure, and will sack any ineffective minister. Ngelale said these today while speaking on an interview. He added that between his emergence as president-elect and inauguration on May 29, Tinubu had established a series of reform committees for every sector. According to the president's spokesman, Tinubu basically looked at exactly what President Muhammad Buhari had achieved and said, "This is what we want to do to build on all these achievements." Every minister coming in absolutely knows what they have to achieve within the time frame that has been given to them by the president. And that is something in the history of Nigerian governance we have never seen before. The president has set these benchmarks. The question now is about enforcement, and the president has shown, as he did during his time in Lagos State as governor, that he is not someone that is afraid to fire anybody. Tinubu is not somebody who is afraid to level quick sanctions to ensure that they get the result that he wants, because ultimately, if this administration fails, they will not say a minister failed or a set of ministers failed. They will say President Bola Tinubu failed, and he will not accept failure. President Bola Tinubu has said the country could not continue to service its debt with 90% of its revenue. He noted that the country was headed for destruction should that continue. Tinubu spoke during the annual conference of the Nigerian Bar Association on Sunday in Abuja. He said his administration must make difficult changes to better the lot of the country. Tinubu said, "Can we continue to service external debt with 90% of our revenue? It is the path to destruction. It is not sustainable. We must make the very difficult changes that are necessary for our country to get up from slumber and be respected among the great nations of the world. To build a great nation, we must make bold decisions, even though it may be painful at the moment. It is not about you and me. It is about our generation yet unborn." Tinubu, who said there is hope for a great Nigeria, called for cooperation and support of the private sector. Speaking on the epileptic power supply in the country, the president described the situation as shameful. He, however, promised that his administration will ensure that Nigeria generates and distributes the electricity the economy requires to thrive. On remuneration for judicial officers, Tinubu stated that justice reform must begin with world-class salaries and benefit for legal professionals in Nigeria. President Tinubu got it right in Lagos, and it is our considered expectation that as a president of Nigeria, you will not only replicate your achievements in Lagos, but surpass them for our country. The Bishop of Ibadan Diocese, the Most Reverend Joseph Akinfenwa, has said the current economic environment has thrown many Nigerians into severe pain, despite the promise that it will be for a short time. Akinfenwa stated these in his sermon at his service during the primate of the Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion. Most Reverend Henry Ndukuba consecrated 4 new bishops for the church at the Archbishop Vining Memorial Cathedral Church, Ikeja, Lagos on Sunday. Among those consecrated at the new Bishop of Anglican Diocese of Lagos, Ifedola Okukwebi, and the new Bishop of Akoko Diocese, Ebenezer Seriki. Others are Venerable Collins Babalola of the Anglican Diocese of Ajayi-Crowther and Venerable Festus Nwafili of Ndokwa Diocese. Speaking, Akinfenwa said, "Even if we say it is temporary, the truth is that our people are in severe pain, and when people are pushed to tears, it is clergymen who offer their shoulders for people to lean on and cry upon." After advising the men of God, he said, "Don't be distracted. There is a lot of work to be done. This is divine recruitment. This should be taken as a challenge, not an achievement. This should be taken as a call to service. The food, textiles, and 24 other sectors of the economy lost over 1 trillion naira in the second quarter of 2023. This is as the 26 sectors of the economy shrank in quarter 2 based on an analysis of the gross domestic product data from the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics. These sectors lost 1.16 trillion naira in economic value as their collective contribution to the real GDP fell to 6.54 trillion naira from the 7.69 trillion naira they contributed in the first quarter of 2023. The sectors that shrank in quarter 2 2023 were fishing, crude petroleum and natural gas, cement, food, beverage and tobacco, textile, apparel and footwear, wood and wood products, pulp, paper and paper products, non-metallic product, basic metal, iron, steel, motor vehicles and assembly, other manufacturing, construction, accommodation and food services, road transport and air transport. Other sectors that were negatively impacted in quarter 2 of 2023 were post and courier services, publishing, motion pictures, sound recording and music production, art, entertainment and recreation, financial institutions, real estate, professional, scientific and technical services, education, other services, metal ores, and plastic and rubber products. In its release GDP result, the NBS revealed that the real GDP marginally rose by 0.20% point to 2.51% in quarter 2 2023 from the 2.31% it was in quarter 1 2023. It said Nigeria's gross domestic product GDP grew by 2.51% year-on-year in real terms in the second quarter of 2023. This growth rate is lower than the 3.54% recorded in the second quarter of 2022 and may be attributed to the challenges and challenging economic conditions being experienced. The NBS stated gross domestic product grew by 2.31% year-on-year in real terms in the first quarter of 2023. While Nigeria's GDP growth is still below the projections of the International Monetary Fund, which expects a 3.2% growth rate for 2023. The decline in economic activity has been tied to recent economic reforms, which have been predicted to cause some discomfort in the short term. The removal of fuel subsidy and the unification of exchange rates have hit businesses negatively. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has said that governors are now more prepared to perform as they are better equipped with leadership strategies to deliver effective governance nationwide. This is as the Oyo State Governor described the leadership retreat organized by the Nigeria Governors Forum in partnership with the United Nations Development Program as a means of deepening governance across the sub-national areas. Makinde, who doubles as the Vice Chairman of the NGF, stated this in Kigali, the Rwanda capital, on Sunday, following the conclusion of a 3-day training on executive leadership, attended by 19 Nigerian state governors at the invitation of the Rwandan President, Mr. Paul Kagame. The retreat was dedicated to fostering dialogue on remaining leadership and leveraging innovative technology, drawing inspiration from Rwanda's transformative journey. Themed Reimagining Leadership is in a fast-changing world. The participants engaged in sessions that explored Rwanda's successful investment, destination transformation in digital technology, urban planning, and socio-economic transformation, and concluded with a private dialogue with President Kagame. A statement jointly signed by Abdulrazak Bello Barkindo, Director of Media at the NGF, and Christabel Chanda Gutzberg, Head Public Engagement, Outreach and Partnership Lead, UNDP, Nigeria, quoted Makinde as saying, "It has been an engaging retreat. I'm glad to be a significant number of governors are here to be part of it so that together we can use the knowledge acquired. Our discussions have equipped us with adaptive leadership strategies and identifying pathways to effective governance and nationwide sustainable program." Speaking on the aim of the retreat, NGF Director General Aishana Okaru, as a non-partisan organization and policy arm, the NGF organizes gathering to foster transformative leadership and facilitate honest, frank, and open dialogue to shape the discourse on these cross-cutting themes. The Economic Community of West African States has mandated a shorter transmission from the junta in Niger. The chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, President Bola Tinubu, told the ulamas during a meeting with them on Thursday that the three-year transition proposed by the military leaders was unacceptable to the regional body. A member of the Islamic clerics who met with the president, the national missioner, and Saruddin Society of Nigeria, Sheikh Abdurrahman Ahmed, disclosed this in a phone interview on Saturday. The ulamas had held a meeting with the Niger junta in a bid to avert military intervention to restore democracy in the francophone country as planned by the ECOWAS. During their interface, the junta leader, General Abdurrahman Tiani, had indicated an interest in holding a dialogue to resolve the political impasse resulting from the ouster of President Mohamed Bazoum in the July 26 coup. They also asked the ulamas to prevail on Tinubu to restore electricity, which was cut off from Niger as part of sanctions imposed by ECOWAS. Speaking to correspondent on the outcome of the meeting with the president, Ahmed, who is a spokesperson for the ulamas, explained that Tinubu insisted that the military leaders must give specifics of their transition program, which must also be brief. The president wants specific that what he head of the junta had said it is too general. They want to be able to hold them to a timeline and a commitment and specific of time of transition. On when the delegation will return to Niamey, the cleric said, "We are deliberating on when it will be convenient for members to go back and when it will be convenient for the people who we are going to meet to receive us." The vision to intervene was a private initiative of the ulamas, and it is not a committee set up by the government. We are only trying to facilitate peaceful resolution with regard to the conflict without the need for use of force. In the face of relentless military onslaughts, bandits and insurgents are displaying signs of desperation, a stance attributed to the increasing might of the armed forces of Nigeria, the Nigeria Peace Advocate said. Addressing journalists on Sunday, the Secretary of NPA, Bernard Udu, urged Nigerians to maintain their unwavering support and offer prayers for the armed forces, while commending the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Gwabin Musa, and his valiant troops for their effort to safeguard the nation. Udu added that the bandits and terrorists are feeling the intensified heat of military operations taking place throughout the country, leading to their heightened desperation. No matter the level of the desperation, Nigerians are solidly behind the armed forces of Nigeria under the leadership of General C.G. Musa. We must stand behind our troops who continue to make sacrifices for the peace and stability of our country. We must not give in to those whose actions are inimical to the peace and development, he said, while affirming that the nation stands united and hopeful for a better future lies ahead. Even in the midst of challenging times, he expressed deep sorrow for the recent loss of soldiers who were attacked while responding to a distress call in Chukuba community, Shiroro local government area, Niger State. The soldiers were said to have been ambushed by bandits. A Nigerian Air Force helicopter also crashed. Our condolences to the CBS, the AFN, and the families of the deceased personnel. Nigerians are behind you. We stand in hope that very soon there will be light at the end of the tunnel, Udu added. From the north to the Lagos State, a yet-to-be-identified man was reportedly gunned down by soldiers in the Otor area of Lagos mainland following a clash with some yet-to-be-identified soldiers. Information learned that the soldiers were deployed to secure some Chinese workers carrying out maintenance construction along the railway tracks, but some boys in the area had been at loggerheads with the construction workers. A source in the area said the boys, some of them called Omonile, were always having issues with the construction workers. The source said the Chinese workers have stopped using the police because they feel like the police could not handle the boys, so they brought soldiers. The Lagos State Police Command Public Relations Officer Benjamin Udain could not comment on the matter as he said the Railway Command was in charge of the area. It's not under our jurisdiction, but that of the Railway Command, Udain said. Effort to get the Railway Command proved abortive. Going on to the foreign story. France bans Muslim students from wearing abaya dress in school. I beg your pardon. Female students will no longer be allowed to wear the loose-fitting abaya dress favored by Muslim women. The move comes almost 20 years after the France banned scarves from state schools. And from that foreign story, we'll go to the sports story. For the 11th time in 19 editions, Team Nigeria is returning home from the World Athletic Championship without a medal after the country's contingent failed to make it to the podium in Budapest, Hungary. The team's medals hopes were pinned to the shoulders of long jumper Esther Brume and sprint hurdler Toby Amushon. Brume brought Nigeria back to the podium in 2019 with a bronze medal after two medalist editions, 2015 and 2017, and she helped in getting Nigeria twice to the podium 3 years ago later in Oregon, USA, where she upgraded her bronze medal win to 2019 to silver. Amushon joined the party in Oregon after placing fourth in 2019, but her appearance at the World Athletic Championship podium was historic. She first made history as the first Nigerian to set a world outdoor record when she ran 12.12 seconds in the semifinals of the 100-meter hurdles event in Oregon. The then 25-year-old followed up with her first ever gold medal by a Nigerian at World Athletic flagship events. However, following the inability of the duo to get to the podium, the team, led by Tonobok Okoa, president of the Athletic Federation of Nigeria, turned praise warriors seeking a miracle for the relay teams, which has failed to become horses, and Team Nigeria's horses could not ride as the men's and women's 4x100-meter failed to make it to the final, with the women's team even dropping the baton. All hopes were now placed on the women's 4x100-meter team to make it to Sunday's final, where winning a medal would be the focus. Two of the athletes who qualified for the team championship were turned to use and done because the AFN failed to include them in the registered pool of athletes to be tested for 3 out of competition tests, which was a precondition for any Nigerian athlete to fulfill before they can compete in any major international competitions and games. Obviously, being an impartial goal, they reward hard work and proper planning, and not indiscipline and planningless. The Nigerian 4x100-meter race as a team, an obvious victim of unruly federation, failed to make it to the final. Team Nigeria started on the wrong foot when the mixed relay team, a finalist at the last edition, failed to make it to the final, placing 7th in the second semi-final. Then followed shot putter Chukwuemeka Enekwechi, who for the first time in 3 editions failed to make it to the final, finishing 13th in the final classification. While the duo of Ishetiri and Sheye Ogunlewe failed to make it to the final in the 100 meters, Favour Ashe was disqualified in the first round for a false start. In the women's version, Rosemary Chukuma failed to advance to the final, exiting at the semi-final stage. Alaba Akintola and Favour Ofili did not advance beyond the semi-final, while only the duo of Brume and Amushon made it to the final. Nigeria failed to make it to the podium in 1991 in Tokyo, Japan, and repeated the same fate 2 years later in Stuttgart, Germany. Sunday Bada, now late, anchored Nigeria's relay team to a bronze medal finish in 1995 in Gothenburg, Sweden, and Davidson Ezenwa followed suit 2 years later in Athens, Greece, where he led the team to an African record and a silver medal. With the sports story, we've come to the end of today's world news from BGI TV. Before we go, some headlines. Tinubu as benchmarks will fire any underperforming minister, presidency. Servicing debt with 90% revenue, path to destruction, Tinubu. Nigerians in severe pain, Anglican bishop laments. Food, textiles, 24 sectors lost over 1 trillion naira in Q2, NBS. And on sport, Team Nigeria returns from World Championship without medal, the 11th time. For more updates of our broadcast on YouTube, our handle is BGI TV, Baba Bagede Imo Television. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell. Select option all to access all of our broadcasts. On Facebook, Bagede Imo with Alawiye Adebayo. Please like and follow the page. For advert placement of your goods and services, coverage of events and functions, please dial the phone number streaming on your screen. Thank you for watching. I am Morire Rabila Lawan. Good evening.